Frank Bonada here for LowKick MMA. With me once again is Mr. Murdo Todd, and today we are breaking down the main card of UFC Orlando, Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. How's it going today, mate?
I'm good. I'm excited for this one. It's a really good card. I think top to bottom, a lot of really entertaining, kind of really fun fights. Capped off with a really good main event. I just think this is I just think it's an all round a great card. So
Hmm.
yeah, really excited. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like right now, um, there's almost three different types of UFC events, isn't it? You've got your
Yeah,
pay-per-views, your fight nights that are in somewhere like Orlando, with an actual crowd, and then you've got the Apex events, and the UFC is sort of stacking their cards, in that sort of order.
yeah,
So yeah, we were sort of just talking off camera, but this card has a lot of really fun fights with no notable names. Not a lot of them mean too much to like the landscape of their divisions, but all good fights all the same. And that main event is just brilliant. Like it's going to be so much fun. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the sort of one of the last pure like karate fighters in the UFC, um, taking on Kevin Holland, who has a background in kung fu. Obviously, he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Um, both guys coming off losses, but both those losses were to very skilled wrestlers. And now they're both going to get to go in there and really show off their striking to their the fullest of their abilities.
yeah. I think they'll both be happy about this matchup. I do. I think maybe Holm will implement his grappling a little bit. I think he could find some success there. He's bigger than Wonder Boy. I imagine he'll be stronger, hit a little harder, and I think he'll definitely have the better jiu-jitsu. But if he can work into some offensive wrestling, I think that could really help the overall game plan.
Mm. But you got to remember, like Stephen Thompson has been in there with some very good wrestlers and has shown off some good wrestling defense. I remember the Woodley fight. Um, and obviously like those last two fights where he's dropped decision losses to Burns and Bilal Muhammad, both very, very like fighters in the very peak of their fighting career right now, and both with a very
Yeah.
like good ground games. Holland's quite a good wrestler, but I don't know if he'll be good enough to um utilize his wrestling in a way that dominates the fight against Thompson. Maybe get some down for a round, but I feel like that's not going to be like a big factor in this fight. Having said that, he does like to like he's a very opportunistic wrestler, so maybe he does like snatch up a shock submission at some point. But I do feel like this is going to be a striking affair for the most part, and yeah, Kevin Holland is the favorite currently, with the line widening. Um, yeah, I think he came in at almost even money. And that has now switched to the point where what have we got him at?
Minus 160.
Yeah, whilst Stephen Thompson plus 130 right now, with that line widening. I feel like that probably is about right. Um, just based on age alone. Wonder Boy's 39, whereas Kevin Holland's 30. That's a big discrepancy. And like you said before as well, there is a height discrepancy as well. Wonder Boy 6 foot, Holland 6'3". Reach advantage for Holland as well. Um, yeah, it's a hard one to bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so.
go on.
And it's also difficult. You never really know. It's difficult to know what to expect from Holland.
Mm,
Um, I think sometimes he makes decisions which, maybe in hindsight, he wouldn't have. I think he can get very emotionally invested in fights and stuff
mm,
like that. Um, but I think he's been in there with big middleweights like Marvin Vettori, and he's got a good chin. He can stay in there. I don't know. It's I just think it's the age thing with there's a lot of factors in this going into it. I think with Thompson it's definitely the age thing. Um, is he still the same? Um, yeah, it's a really tough one. I think the over 2.5 is a decent enough bet at minus 138. I think is a decent one. But I also would probably side with Holland. Um, I could see him catching Thompson at some point, but I think early on, I think Thompson's clever enough and experienced enough to kind of avoid the big power shots. So I think over 2.5 is probably the best, is where I would go with this from maybe it's minus 138. But what do you like in this one?
I think no, I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. I think that's the best side to play. Um, yeah, it just because I mean, yeah, the thing is Holland does hit hard, doesn't he? We remember that in that Marvin Vettori fight, like you said. Vettori managed to dominate the fight with his top control wrestling, but whenever Holland did get to his feet, he was stinging Vettori. And yeah, Vettori's
Yep.
known for being one of, if not the most durable fighters in probably the whole UFC. But Thompson is such an elusive fighter that movement, like I've got a background in karate, so he was one of the first guys I really looked at when I first started getting into MMA. That's after Lyoto Machida, that is. So yeah, and just I don't know, he's the very best at it. He really is right now.
Yeah.
In the UFC, he's so slick, moving backwards and forwards, switching stances, using that side kick to create distance. Yeah, I definitely feel, to be honest, I feel like he probably can go the full distance.
Yeah.
But the reason why I wouldn't take fight goes the distance is just because Holland does have that power. I don't think Wonderboy's going to finish his fight. To be honest, if you're going back Stephen Thompson, whilst plus 130 is a decent line, Thompson by decision at plus 400.
Wow.
I can't lie, that's an enticing prospect.
Yeah.
I might take a small stab on that. Maybe like I'll probably wait till closer to Fight Night itself, because I imagine the line's only going to get wider. If you get Thompson by decision at like plus 500, I mean that's just like you've got to take a little stab on that. But yeah, I think over 2.5 minus 138 is a very good shout.
The only thing about that is the only time we've ever seen Thompson get hit, like Thompson get put out recently, is by Pettis with the Superman kind of like an unusual strike, which Holland can be quite
unorthodox
almost. Yeah, a bit, and you can maybe see him catching something like that. But do you know what? Like looking at Thompson's past record, he beat Jeff Neal and Luque not too long ago. And I don't know, would Neal and Luque beat Holland at this point? I think maybe.
Luque,
but
at
is
least.
he
I don't know. Actually, Luque's fallen off, but
are these? It's like he can still. I don't know. Is he still that level to compete at? That kind of in the top 10 of the welterweight division? Because if he is, I think it's going to be a really tough night for Holland, because Thompson can just. I think I can see him controlling large parts of the fight, but then Holland making it a bit chaotic. Yeah, but it should be fun either way. I think. Yeah, I think if you're betting either, you'll have some difficult moments during the night.
Yeah, which is why I like the over. I don't know. I just like I think back to like the Gilbert Burns fight, and whenever the fight was on the feet, Thompson was just piecing him up. He's so slick. And I don't know, that fight I thought was interesting because he knew he was behind due to the wrestling and the ground and pound of Burns, that he really started turning it up and looked dangerous when he was on the feet. It was just when, each time he really started getting into it, Burns would have that big equalizer where he'd just take the fight back to the ground.
Yeah, I'm so excited for though. I'm just so excited for it though. It's going to be a really fun watch. But
karate versus kung fu, you can't go wrong with it.
It's the age thing with Thompson. It's just if he's still got it, then I can see him kind of comfortably getting a decision win. But if he's not, then Holland's dangerous to be in there with.
100%. Yeah. Over 2.5 is probably the main play there. Like I said, I probably will take Thompson by decision, I think. Let's move on to the co-main event. Former lightweight champion who's back up to welterweight now, Rafael dos Anjos, taking on Brian Barberena, who he's just become a sort of welterweight, middle of the pack banger, isn't he? Like that's just his new role where he's just getting given big fights. I bet he's going to be in the UFC for absolutely ages just fighting like just high profile.
For
Um,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
no importance to it, to his fights, but like yeah, just gonna get stuck in there. I bet he'll fight like Nico Price, um, guys like that who it just yeah they'll
it,
just stick him in
it's
there.
like I just don't get why he keeps getting like really big fights. You know when it's like football teams get accused of buying people to like for like money laundering purposes. It's
Yeah,
just like that's what this seems like to me. It's like why is he getting Robbie Lawler on RDA back to back?
and
But
Matt Brown before that as well, wasn't it?
I know
Yeah,
I don't really get because it's I don't really because he's not got a particularly big fan base. He's quite
yeah,
fun to watch, but he's never
yeah.
been like
He's an action fighter, but
it's never yeah it's a weird one. But anyway, yeah, go on.
looking at the odds right now on my book, Rafael dos Anjos minus 550 favorite. Big difference with Brian Barberena coming in at plus 400. Um, yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like I said before, Brian Barberena seems to be like destined to be like a middle of the park action fighter. Um, and yeah, that's what these sort of odds have him as. If you think about it, Dos Anjos, yeah, he's coming off the KO loss to Rafael Fiziev, but I mean, like that's against one of the best in the world. The guy that probably will fight for a title in the next year or two.
And he
Um,
wasn't getting blown out either in that
no,
fight.
well, he gassed out. I think that's the main thing.
But
It was a 5 rounder, and he ran
yeah,
out of steam at the end and got hit by someone
but it
who hits
wasn't.
incredibly hard.
It was competitive throughout though. Fiziev's, he could be fighting for a title
Yeah,
pretty shortly.
100%. And if you look at his past 2 wins after before that, Moicano, who beat over 5 rounds, and Paul Felder as well. Um, yeah, I mean, and even after that, Leon Edwards and Michael Chiesa, top 10 welterweights. And these are guys that you'd back everyone, I guess, apart from maybe Moicano, just based on size. You back probably Fiziev, Paul Felder, Michael Chiesa, and Leon Edwards, all of them to beat Brian Barberena. Like
Yeah, I think
100%.
without even thinking about it really.
Mm. Um, yeah, and those last 2 wins for Barberena coming against uh, old fighters. RDA is no longer in his prime, sure, but he's still, he's been much more competitive lately than Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler have with their opponents. So yeah, I just think this is RDA's fight to win. Like, I think he can. The big thing probably is going to be wrestling, right? I think he can definitely take him down
Yeah.
and do some damage from the top, just grind out rounds. I think he'll probably win by decision.
Minus
Though
120, minus 125 for that.
not bad, not bad. I mean, I've only got RDA in a parlay piece right now. Just took him straight, parlayed with Yasmin Yaragway on the prelims. It comes in at sort of even money, though I must say I did get RDA at minus 350.
Okay.
That's how much the line has
He's
gone.
moved. He's moved even since last night. I think he was like. I think when I was looking last night, he was minus 450 or something. So
Really.
he keeps moving. Yeah.
I mean, if it keeps moving, it's gonna get to the point where like,
It's not maybe not even worth it.
oh,
I
just
think.
take a Barberina like KO prop because he's got some power to him, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Uh,
going to, but like, you got to look into
Yeah.
it.
Do you know what? When I'm looking back at RDA's past record and when he has these kind of tough fights against Khabib, after Khabib, he fought Jason High, you know, and
Mm.
then after Tony Ferguson, he fought Tarek
Uh,
Safedine.
Safadine, yeah. Hey, he was
Safedine.
decent.
But so he's kind of taken. I think he's gone. I've fought Fiziev, so
Yeah,
do you know, give me someone a bit favorable. Same with Ferguson, same with Khabib. So I think they've
Mm.
kind of given him a bit of a favorable matchup here to come back. But I think he's just with this one. I think he's just a step above
Yeah,
Barberena. I think it is the thing. I think he's a better grappler. I think he'll be competitive on the feet. Barberena can strike, but even with the Robbie Lawler fight, I wasn't like Robbie Lawler's getting on a bit, and you can clearly see it. And it was like for me, it was too competitive for him for for
yeah.
with Barberena. So I'm not got a huge amount of confidence in him fighting anyone who's got kind of some life in them. So
100%.
I see RDA kind of comfortably winning this
Yeah.
one, to be honest.
And
Good
the thing
parlay
is,
piece.
yeah, Lawler gave him trouble, and that's just the striking. Lawler isn't known as a grappler. RDA is a great striker, but he also has a very good wrestling game.
Yeah,
And that arm triangle that he's got is pretty slick. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wears Barberena down in the later rounds and maybe does lock something in
smashing
late.
him.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't think the line should go any wider, just because based off age, and similar to the main event, you do have a height and reach discrepancy with RDA is only 5'8" with a 17-inch reach, whereas Barberena is 6 foot 72-inch reach. He's the bigger man.
Yep,
He maybe has a slight power advantage, I'd probably say. Though the technique definitely goes to RDA. But yeah, I just think, yeah, I imagine people everyone's using RDA to like anchor their parlays right now.
definitely. And I don't think it's even a bad shout, to be honest.
No,
He's one of
but
my most confident picks on
yeah,
on the card for me. But I wouldn't put him in too many because RDA
yeah,
is 38, so you don't really
coming off a
um
KO loss, yeah.
yeah, there's stuff that can happen at that age. And
Mm.
Barberena is like, yeah, he's bigger man. He's not awful, but I just think
Mm.
he's not in the same class, but stuff happens, you know.
Have you bet him already? Or
I've not bet. I thought it would be similar, and I was gonna do my thing today, but I'll probably put him in a parlay or two.
yeah.
Good parlay. Well, it would have been nice for a better price, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
uh,
I feel pretty good about that. Minus
that minus 350
350.
is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good. That's good.
um okay, moving on. I mean, it is great to see fight night events when you move on past the main and co-main event, and then you've got ranked fighters fighting with
I know.
Matthias Nicolau versus Matt Schnell, a flyweight fight, which I mean, if anyone saw Matt Schnell's last fight versus Sumadaji, what a war that was! Just blood, guts, and the heart from Matt Schnell was just crazy in that fight. Yeah, really, just probably one of the fights of the year that's probably going to get overlooked come the end of it. Oh, there's a thought. We will be having LowKick MMA awards for all the fights, whatever. So keep an eye, fights, fight of the night, submission, etc., etc. So keep an eye out for that towards the end of the year. Maybe me and Murdo will jump on and do an actual award show for that. But yeah, this fight, Nicolau is a heavy favorite, minus 400, whereas Matt Schnell comes in at plus 300 underdog. What's your read on this one?
I think Nicolau. I think that's hopefully I'm saying that
Yeah, I
correctly.
think that's right.
Coming in a bit of a role. I would favor him outside him because I was looking at the Tapology card before I'd looked on the bookies, and I thought, yeah, I'll probably take him, but I don't know. The minus 400, I think.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't really like that too much. But Nikolai, I'm definitely on his side over Matt Schnell. He's younger, I believe.
Yeah.
Coming a bit of a roll. Nice win over Tim Elliott. Yeah, I like him in this one. What about you?
Yeah, I'm really not taking a side on this just because Matt Schnell's too much of a sort of chaos factor. Like,
Yeah,
he really, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting dynamics because Nicolau's really become a decision fighter as of late. All of his fights in the second run in the UFC have been by decision. Tim Elliott, David Dvorak, and Manel Cap. Whereas Matt Schnell, he's got one of the worst chins in the division, but he also hits really hard and is a really good submission threat. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm taking fight doesn't go the distance. Minus 125. I know Dvorak is sorry, not Dvorak, Nicolau is a decision fighter. He has been in this UFC run, but he does have submissions on his record. And the thing is, anyone can crack Matt Schnell. His chin just is bad. Like, yeah. And also, like, bear in mind the guys that Nicolau fought, like Manel Cap, very durable fighter. Tim Elliott gets hit a lot, but he always bounces back. And David Dvorak, I mean, he's only lost 3 times in his entire career, and it looks like a big prospect coming up. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could crack Matt Schnell, jump in, and then Matt Schnell will guillotine him. Or yeah, I don't know. It's just something about this fight that screams to me. Fight doesn't go the distance. And when I saw it's minus 125, that's the line I've got to take.
I don't mind that. I quite like that because I think the minus 400 is I think too much for me. I don't like. I
Yeah.
don't really want. Like I'm not going to take it for that. I think it's just like I think I'd be a bit stupid. But how long ago was the Sumidaji fight? It
I
wasn't that long ago.
can check now. 4 months ago.
Took some punishment knowing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a lot of punishment in that fight.
So you just wonder about you
And
always
then
like this is like the next part, and it's like people just need to when they take beatings, just take a little bit of time off
yeah.
because it's like when you see someone come out, what, 5 months after, it's like what you've taken maybe a couple of weeks off, a month off, and then you got
Mm,
straight back to training camp taking blows to the head. So it's like you just worry about shins. I always look at that. That's always something I consider when I'm betting
yeah.
on these stunts is how much time have you had to actually fully recover?
Well,
Because a lot of these guys they need the money, so they have to come back quickly.
also you got to look at what was his last fight before Sumadaji, Brandon Royval, where he got guillotined. That
Yeah.
was only 2 months before the Sumadaji fight. He's straight back in training camp, surely.
So
I
you just
think,
worry.
yeah, I think he's even had a fight cancelled since then. Quick look now, like Alex Perez or someone, I think it was. Just quickly, yeah, he's had 3 cancelled bouts with Alex Perez, fall through. So he's been in training camps for all of them. Basically, I think he's been in training camp since winter of 2021.
So it's just, I think like these things take a massive toll on the body. I
Yeah.
just think it's you have to consider these things when looking at a fighter. I think if you're making a decision, so I quite like that. Fight doesn't go the distance under
Mm.
2. Is it? What do you say?
Minus
Sorry.
125 is what I got it at.
I don't mind that. It's
Yeah.
flyweight unders as well. So
Flyweight unders, yeah. Shout out.
exactly, no bets smart.
Yeah, that's the one.
So yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I mean, you could also look at I was gonna say you could look at Nicolau inside the distance, but it's only plus 130. Like Matt Shell's finishing potential is too high, so just yeah.
I think Nicolau is like I think maybe I'm not touching him.
No, no, no. I think yeah, inside the distance is a good play. Moving on. Now we always take the piss out of like how the UFC stick an absolutely horrendous heavyweight fight on the main card every single fight night they have. What was it last week? Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Chase Sherman, which ended up being the co-main event after the main event fell off. Oh man. Yeah, that was a rough one, but oh my goodness, is this a good fight? We have two top 10 heavyweights, right? Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. What a fight this is. Just beautiful matchmaking.
This is pay-per-view. This is pay-per-view main event. This is pay-per-view main card kind of stuff. This is this is a heavyweight fight. Like this is going to be good, I think.
For as long as it lasts.
For as long as it lasts. But I like Tai. I think he seems like a nice guy, but I worry about him in this one. I really worry about him in this one.
Pavlovich is good, man. He's good.
He's massive. He's huge.
And he hits so hard. Like
yeah. I really worry about this one because Pavlovich is on a roll. I know the Derek Lewis fight maybe stopped a little early, but it wasn't looking good for.
No, he pieced Derek Lewis up. Like he
but I mean, the finish wasn't like it wasn't as good as Tai's, but it wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking good for Lewis. I just think that's the kind of role he's been on. He's big. He's got the reach, and Tai's coming off a war 5 months ago, like what we were just saying against.
2 months ago, mate.
It was 2.
Yeah,
2 months. It's not. It's just why? Who is managing? Who's letting him do this? He's made enough money. I know he gets paid all right. I don't. He
Yeah.
doesn't need the. Who's letting him do this? Like Pavlovich isn't even a big name. I get it. He doesn't even speak English. Do you know what I mean? It's a
Hmm.
weird. Oh, this is a lie. It just makes no sense to me. But give me your read. What's your read line before I go on
Yeah.
another awful match? It's just I don't
um,
get it.
no. To be honest, I didn't realize until you said it just then. Yeah, until that it's just been 2 months, which is crazy because that fight with Cyril Gahn was wild. Um, yeah, and also the thing is like what you're saying with like the Derek Lewis fight for Pavlovich compared to Tai Tuivasa's fight with Derek Lewis. Like Derek Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa was a competitive back and forth until Tai found that elbow. Um, even though Pavlovich finished the fight early, he just buzzsawed through him. Like Derek Lewis
Yep.
had nothing for him. It wasn't like a 50-50 fight where he just landed the right shot. Nah, I don't know. Pavlovich, I, I I feel like he's one of those heavyweights who doesn't just rely on natural power. He's got really good straight shots that I think like
Yep.
just do him dividends with that 84-inch reach, which is insane considering Taito Ivas is 75 inch. They're almost the
He's
same height, and he's got a 10-inch reach advantage.
and he's like he's physically
Yeah,
he's a unit. He's an absolute. He's a fridge of a man.
yeah.
Like, and I just think the reach could just and those straight shots gonna cause Ty some problems. I think. And do you know what? And I thought he looked good in the Cyril Gane fight. I think his
Yeah.
counter punching was pretty decent. I think and you can't count him out. Like you can.
No,
I've
he's a
like
dog, absolute
he's
dog.
a dog. He's got heart. He's got a decent chin as well. He'll come forward and he'll try and take your head off, and that's it. So I'll be betting Tai Tuivasa because he's the boy, and it's gonna be fun. I'm riding it. I'm riding it. It's gonna be fun, but like I worry if it's not a good matchup for him at all. But he's a dog and he's got that equalizer. Um, and listen, if Pavlovich wants to trade, then it's evens.
Remember what
You
happened to Greg
can
Hardy?
literally if that's the thing. If Pavlovich gets because if you and the thing is like Ty's decent when he's hurt. Like he does that almost like Derek
Mhm.
Lewis thing. He's like, "Well, I'm hurt," and he'll come in with the shot. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's always dangerous.
Well, you know what? It does give me a little bit. I don't know. It makes me feel good that you're taking Derek Lewis. Sorry, Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa in this one because I've also stuck a half unit
Of course,
on
you got to
Bam
do it.
Bam to win this one. Yeah, he's an underdog. The line's already widened from when I took it, so I probably should have left it for a bit. Um, and you know what? Taito Ivasa inside the distance at like was it plus
220,
200, 220?
220.
Not bad.
And he was a big underdog against Lewis as well. And we were like, because
Yeah,
I thought Lewis was gonna
I know.
like he was gonna knock him out.
I bet Ty in that one.
Yeah. So it's hard to bet against him.
Yeah.
But I think fight doesn't go the distance.
What's the point?
Minus 700. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah. It will be a fun one though. This is finally a good heavyweight fight.
Yep. Yeah. It's yeah, gonna be an exciting one. Maybe just take over 1.5. I wonder. What's the line in that?
Over 162, over 1.5.
Or yeah. Oh no, you know what? Stay away from the over unders. Just take
Yeah.
pick a side. If you're gonna bet it, just pick.
Yeah, pick a side and then enjoy it.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh man,
Because you remember he did nearly knock out Cyril Gahn. He had that like
that's the
moment where he
thing.
dropped him and that. And Gahn said he's never been hit as hard by anyone than he was by Taito Ivasa. Bear in mind, Cyril
Yeah,
Gahn has fought Francis Ngannou.
yeah, he can really whack.
Yeah,
So you've always got to give him a chance. And I think
yeah.
especially if Pavlovich comes in and strikes, you've always got to give Tuivasa a chance.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a edge of your seat sort of match.
Yeah, definitely.
So up next we have Jack Hermansson, originally scheduled to fight Derek Brunson. I mean, what a fight that would have been for a fight night, top 10 middleweights. Brunson obviously has fallen out and he's now taking on Roman Dolidze. Hermansson comes in as a minus 188 favorite. Dolidze plus 162 underdog. I think those odds are right.
Yeah,
I think that's about right. I don't really actually rate Dolidze that much. I know right now he's got a lot of hype because he's got those two big finishers. I don't know, right? There's a weird narrative with Dolidze where I keep seeing people like Adam Cattrall and Nick P on the Fight Disciples, and a lot of other people saying like, oh, he's some sort of like brilliant knockout artist striker, and that mainly based off his last KO win over Phil Hawes, where he did brutally knock out Phil Hawes. But the only reason he does that is because he wrecked his ankle with a heel hook. Like, he's a grappler first and foremost, a submission grappler who has some power, but he's not a very good striker. And Jack's nothing too exceptional on the feet, but he's super durable and he's got some quite decent fundamentals. And he's also probably one of the most effective strikers from top control. If he gets the fight to the floor, his issue has always been he's not a great takedown artist. But for Dolidze to have success, I think he probably has to take the fight to the ground. And it's an interesting matchup on the ground, but I think on the feet, Jack's so durable and he's got really good low kicks and he's got this sort of herky jerky boxing style and he's been in there with so many like high level opponents compared to Dolidze. I just I favor Jack Hermansson in this fight.
Yeah, I do too. I'm definitely on Jack's side. I do think Dolidze can cause some problems because he can bang a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's got power. It's just
and I
technique.
Think Hermansson has struggled with power punchers in the past before. But I genuinely I think Hermansson has the better overall game. It's not. I think it's like he has pulled the short straw in terms of a short notice opponent. But I think he will win. But I think he can cause some problems because Dolidze can punch and he's got a good grappling background. But who do you think's got the jiu-jitsu advantage in this one?
Yeah, it's pretty close, isn't it?
I like Hermansson's jiu-jitsu. I think it's
he heel hooked Gaslam, didn't he?
Yeah, quickly the first round as well.
Yeah, but then that's pretty much what Dolidze did to Hawes as well. It could be an interesting because I know Hermansson said like his favorite submission is that heel hook. So maybe we get some interesting like 50-50 like Ryan Hall style exchanges. Going on.
But I think Hermansson's kind of got the better. For me, is better overall. So I give it to him. Yeah. And you know what? I think his striking looked better against Chris Curtis than it has in the past. I think it looked pretty decent. And, you know, Chris Curtis is a very capable striker, and I thought he looked really good in that.
Curtis, I definitely agree. And the thing is, like, Curtis is a better striker than Dolidze. Dolidze probably hits harder, but I think like just in terms of like boxing fundamentals and that,
definitely,
So I don't know. Yeah, unless there's like no, I don't think he's going to knock Hermansson out because Hermansson has been knocked out before, but it's by guys like Jared Cannonier, Thiago Santos, like two of the hardest. I mean, Thiago Santos is a light heavyweight, and this was back in 2017 when he was knocking everyone out. And Cannonier, all he's got is power, really. So Dolidze hits hard, but I don't think he hits that hard compared to those guys. And also, just like who's he fought that's like anywhere on the same sort of like level that Hermansson's been fighting at for the past how many years?
Like consistently as well. Do you know what I mean? He's been tough fights for a long time and winning a lot of them as well.
Yeah, look at his last like how many fights. Chris Curtis, Sean Strickland, Edmund Shabazian, Marvin Vettori, Kelvin Gastelum, Jared Cannonier, Jacare Souza. Like, you know, and that's going back to 2019. Like, even before that, 2017 is when he fought Thiago Santos. Like,
and I think Dolidze's loss to Trevin Giles also doesn't like
that does not look good after Giles' last fight.
It doesn't reflect well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. So I'm on Jack Hermansson. I've already taken a moneyline bet that I parlayed with Mark Jacasey, who's low down the card. I think Jacasey is just going to run through.
I like that show.
Michael Johnson, and I think Jack's got everything to do it. Like if Dolidze pulls something out, fair play to him. You know, I bet against him in the Carl Daukaus fight, and he pulled out it was another ankle lock in that fight, wasn't it? No, he knocked him out. But I don't know. I just fancy Jack Hermansson's chances in this one, especially short notice as well.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you.
Sweet. Any action for yourself or just
I'll be taking Hermansson for sure.
Cool.
I'll probably be parlaying him with I don't know
Casey.
yeah, something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good few parlay pieces on the prelims to be
There
fair,
is.
but
There is.
yeah, we will be having a separate prelim show where we go over all those prelims later. I'm not sure who will be on it. It'll probably be me and someone else, but yeah, that'll go out later. Opening fight on the main card, Eric, your boy Anders, taking on the Dark Knight, which is just a brilliant nickname. I love that.
Great nickname.
Kyle Daukaus. Weird fight. Like one of the weirdest fights on the card. Like, and you know, I feel like I've got quite strong feelings of how nearly every fight on this card is going to sort of play out, even if I don't have a side. I have no idea what's going to go on in
I
this
have
one.
no clue. I have no clue. Have
It's
you
just...
got a side though? Do you like anyone in this?
No. I'm not at all. I don't like anything because I just have no
You know
idea.
what? I like Andrews. He seems sound, so I might just buy bet. I'm thinking
That's just because you've
Andrews.
interviewed him once.
Exactly, because he's sound. He's all right. But the thing, do you know what? He's big. He's fought light heavyweight. Kyle Dock is not particularly an imposing middleweight.
It's taller.
Who Dawkins is?
6'3".
Yeah.
Anders is 6'1". But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Anders, former NFL. No, yeah, American footballer too.
Yeah,
Built.
Yeah, he's a big guy. There's I think there's a decent amount of hype around Kyle Daukaus or like some expectation of him, but like he's not won. He's beaten Jamie Pickett. Like,
yeah, he did sub.
I'm not like
Kevin Holland, but that was after the headbutt.
Yeah, I mean, when he not like, you can't. I don't think you can really. I don't know. So I'm not. I like Eric Andrews plus 180. So it's like in a
Fair
fight
enough.
where it's like, yeah, in a fight where it's like you don't really know. I think Eric Andrews plus 180 money line.
Well, I think
Eric,
go on.
I think Andrews is getting on a bit though. Is my only worry.
35. It's not too bad for someone of that weight class. To be honest, and bear in mind, like, what has he ever been knocked out?
Yeah, no,
not for a while at least.
No, not for. I think he quit against. Not quit. Sorry, that bad word. There was a retirement in the Thiago Santos fight.
Yeah.
He didn't get knocked out by Machida.
No.
No. But his last win was against Darren Stewart. Also, Darren Stewart just lost again on Cage Warriors. So
yeah,
I'm not like, and it's not like he knocked out Darren Stewart in round one. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm not.
To be fair, the first because he fought Darren Stewart twice, didn't he? And the first one ended up being an illegal knee, but he did run through Stewart early on. And then the second fight was at light heavyweight, and he looks like I don't know, like a different fighter. But bear in mind, then Anders' last fight, right? John Young Parks, split decision loss. One that I think I scored it for Anders at the time, but I actually preferred Park as a fighter, so I wasn't upset to see him lose. But most of that fight was Anders pinning Park up against the fence. I think Park's probably a stronger fighter than Kyle Daukaus. So I just think if Anders does take that strategy again and just tries to like manhandle Daukaus on the feet, pin him against the cage, just in the clinch, don't let him get to the floor where he can start throwing up subs.
I worry about him on the floor.
Yeah, me
Kyle
too.
Daukaus.
Me too. I don't know, maybe just like if he does one of those, just holds him in half guard and just does nothing except like little body shot, headshot, body shot, headshot.
Yeah.
I do feel like Daukaus. What was the line?
Daukaus is minus 220 or something.
I mean, that's wide, isn't it? That's definitely.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it is a wide line. I think Anders probably is worth the money at plus 180. I reckon I can see it sliding even more. Maybe even like
really. I mean,
I think so. I think so because I think it slits. I'm sure it's moved away from Anders, but yeah, I think I worry about the sub defense of Anders because he lost to Petrosky in a grappling competition. Got subbed by Muniz.
Muniz subs everyone.
That's true.
Uriah Hall, but like, he's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from You're right. Just having his back.
He submits Jacare Souza, like one of the best submission fighters of all time, and then can't sub.
I know.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, weird fight. I don't think I'm going to take either side just because Anders can have a fight. Like you know what? I bet that fight against John Young Park, that was his perfect fight. That's the fight that he came out, the complete game plan that he had, everything went to plan, and he still lost by split decision because that's what that sort of fight. That's the result that sort of fight can have sometimes. Yeah. I'm just not going to side. But
do you think it'll be fun? Do you think it'll be an entertaining
no,
fight? Or...
I don't.
It's not even.
Unless, well, you know what? No, I do think it's feasible if it goes really well for one man and the other. I think Daukaus could maybe get a tech sub against Anders that would be pretty cool to watch, or maybe Anders just clips him and just like has him rocked and finishes the fight like that. Maybe. Yeah. But I feel like we're probably in for a lot of cage grappling and body shot, headshot, body shot, headshot, body. But that is the main card of this event, and you know what? Like when we have cards like this, I feel like just the energy of doing these sort of shows is completely different. We've done a lot of fight nights lately, and it's just like. And next we have our heavyweight main card.
It's definitely difficult because there's also like a lot of it's difficult to call and difficult to predict.
Yeah.
Like that. But to be fair, some of these fights are pretty difficult to predict. But yeah, it's nice to have a good, enjoyable fight night for a change.
And like go on.
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying, like, it's stuff to talk about when you have guys like Jack Hermansson, who's like, you know, a known established name. Nearly all these fights are ranked, bar the Anders Daukaus fight. You know, there's narratives to talk about, there's stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And you're just saying, oh well, you know, Waldo Cortez Acosta had a fight with Jared Vanderer recently, so I wonder if he's doing all right after that. Like,
yeah, I know it's difficult. And the thing is, it's like if they just stop doing as many bottom of the barrel awful fight nights that I hate having to stay up for. Do you know what I mean? Like we could have more fight nights like this, but
yeah,
I suppose we've got to fill that ESPN quota.
Yeah, I know. Okay, right. I should have discussed this with you beforehand, but if you got a lock of the night on this main card, what would it be? Give me a lock and give me a dog. Give me a lock and give me a dog of the night.
I'll give you a lock and a dog. I'll give you a lock and a dog. I think, you know what, maybe Jonathan Pierce against Darren Elkins. I've been liking a bit of Jonathan Pierce recently. He ran to Amir Khani. Darren Elkins is old, past it a little bit. I also like Yasmin.
Uruguay. Uruguay.
That one. I think she's got a good chance of winning. Pierce and then Jacase. So I'm going to go with Pierce because you'll probably go with Jacase. So Pierce, Jacase, really bad with him. And then dog of the night. Let's
surely Eric Anders.
Yeah. Title man. I'm gonna go with title. Yeah. So you got to pick Anders now.
No, I'm not picking Anders. Yeah. Well, definitely. I think lock of the night for me is Angel Casey, and we will go into that on a prelim show. Dog of the night, Tracy Cortez plus 100 against Amanda Hebaz. I reckon she just out wrestles her for 3 rounds.
Really?
Yeah. She trains.
You're a brave man for putting that. You're a brave man for betting that.
Well, I mean, or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by decision.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I like him.
Don't.
I like Tracy Cortez's chances. She trains with she's literally like in a relationship with Brian Ortega, who's like one of the best submission guys in the game. And I don't honestly like what's her face. Hebas is like she's overrated because she's attractive. She's not that good. Like I don't know. All right. Well, that's a wrap. I think we'll try to do that. Maybe a dog and a lock each week now, so we'll
Yeah.
keep that going. It's fun. Yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, I think that was it's a good card, and we've only got a better one next week, which is UFC 282. And we're gonna have a lot of content coming out for that. I think maybe Alex Boonin is gonna jump on for a show for that. Me and Murdo will do the betting previews. We'll have interview. I think I've booked one with Billy Quarantillo, which should be out this week, and I think we're going for Alex Hernandez and a few other names in there. So yeah, definitely subscribe to LowKick MMA YouTube channel if you're not already. Get notifications on all that. Follow me and Murdo on Twitter. I believe it's just Murdo Todd, Frank Bonada.
Yep.
And yeah, tune in next week where we will be covering UFC 282 Ankalaev versus Blachowicz.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.